Hey everyone, welcome back to Bible Q&A. I'm your friend and ewaenruwa, and in this video, we are going to be answering the question, why didn't King Ahaziah trust God for his healing? If we look at 2 Kings chapter 1, we can see the story of Ahaziah and his sickness. According to the account, Ahaziah, the king of Israel, fell through a lattice in his upper chamber and got injured. He wasn't sure whether he would recover or not, and so he sent messengers to find out from Beelzebub, the god of Ekron. He completely forgot about Jehovah, the God of Israel, and his powers to heal. In response to this, God used Elijah the prophet to tell him that he would not recover from his sickness. And verse 17 tells us that that actually happened. But the question is, why did Ahaziah, the king of God's people, not look to God for a cure? The reason is that King Ahaziah did not see beyond physical gods built with human hands, like the god of Ekron. Because of his lack of spiritual understanding and faith, it was the potency or powers of man-made idols that he believed in, and so when he needed help, he felt like they would be the best solution. He wasn't the only king in the Bible who did this. King Asa, too, was said to have trusted in his doctors and not in God Almighty. And Asa, in the 39th year of his reign, was diseased in his feet, until his disease was exceeding great. Yet in his disease he sought not to the Lord, but to the physicians, according to 2 Chronicles chapter 16, verse 12. What these kings did might look senseless in the scriptures, but when we take it to real life, you can see why they did it. In our world today, humanity has developed all kinds of structures and systems, be it for our economy, education, manufacturing, politics, religion, food, or healthcare, which we're discussing. All people, Christians and unbelievers alike, use these systems in their daily lives. Now, God Almighty is fine with that, of course. What God doesn't like is when we believe in those systems or inventions instead of Him. But there are some people who do this actually. For example, there are some people who, when they are sick, believe that it is the experience, certifications, and education of the doctor and the complex equipment they've built that determines whether they return healthy or not. There are also people who look at the educational system and what they learn there as the ultimate. As far as they're concerned, there's nothing above or beyond what they say. The Bible tells us that what we as Christians should do is to use these systems but not have belief in them. Jesus Christ would commonly talk about being in the world, but at the same time not being of the world. If we read John chapter 15 verse 19, chapter 17 verse 14, and verse 16, etc. To be in the world is to do the normal things. Make a living, take care of ourselves, invest or whatever. But to be of the world is to believe and trust in the systems that manage that, as we looked at earlier. By not believing in the systems of this world, we can fully trust in God Almighty and His ability to care for our needs. King Hezekiah was facing similar circumstances as King Ahaziah, as his sickness was to be fatal. But King Hezekiah didn't look to the gods of Gentile nations or trust in the potency of human treatments. He took the matter to God because he believed in His powers. And at the end of the day, he was cured, but Ahaziah was not. What we should get from this is that it is not our human inventions, be it in medicine or in any other field, that has potency. It is God who supplies the potency to whatever we're doing, making it to work. King Solomon spoke about this using horses in battle. The horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safety is of the Lord, according to Proverbs chapter 21, verse 31. The psalmist also said, "There is no king saved by the multitude of an host. A mighty man is not delivered by much strength. A horse is a vain thing for safety. Neither shall he deliver any by his great strength." If we read Psalms chapter 33, verses 16 and 17. What God asks of us, therefore, is for us to give Him credit for the things He does. It is Him who has the power to heal and cure, if we read Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 39, and Psalm 103, verse 3. So if we go to the hospital and we take their prescribed medicine or treatment, we should feel like the potency of it will come from God and not from the humans that developed it. That way, we're giving God credit. The psalmist once said, "Give unto the Lord the glory due unto His name. Bring an offering and come into His courts," according to Psalm 96, verse 8. But one might say, why does God want credit? What does He gain from it? You see, God always spoke about how he would sanctify his name and make his name glorious in the earth. If we read Ezekiel chapter 36 verse 23, chapter 38 verse 23, and other texts. Christ taught us to pray for God's name to be sanctified with the phrase, "Hallowed be thy name," in Matthew chapter 6 verse 9. By giving God credit, we are sanctifying the name of God in our own lives, and God likes that. But when we don't and we give the credit to something or someone else, then he gets jealous, according to Exodus chapter 20, verses 3 to 6, and bad things might happen. Moses, as significant as he was, didn't enter the promised land because he didn't give God credit for the miracle that he did to make water come out of the rock in Numbers chapter 20, verses 7 to 12. This issue was that serious. Jesus did the proper thing in John chapter 11 verses 41 and 42 when he gave God credit for giving him the power to resurrect Lazarus. "Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me, and I knew that thou hearest me always. But because of the people which stand by, I said it, that they may believe that thou hast sent me." So what's the conclusion of this matter? We should use the systems of this world, such as healthcare, to live and take care of ourselves, just as others do. However, we should put our trust in God Almighty and his powers, and not in human inventions. Otherwise, we might eventually hit a brick wall. Jeremiah the prophet spoke about the consequences of ascribing potency and power to human inventions and not to God. "Thus saith the Lord, Cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from the Lord. For he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when good cometh, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, in a salt land, and not inhabit it." If we read Jeremiah chapter 17, verses 5 and 6. We don't want to be cursed, obviously, so let's do the opposite for our own blessing. From verse 7, the prophet said, "Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, and whose hope the Lord is. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, and that spreadeth out her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat cometh, but her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit." And that is where I'm going to stop on answering that question. Why didn't King Ahaziah trust God for his healing? He didn't trust God for his healing because he didn't have belief in the powers of God. He only had belief in the physical, man-made structures that he saw in his day. So, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you will be notified when we come back with another video. Have a good day, and God bless you.